Welcome to Aging in Place Strategies and Answers with Linda Prio. Will it be possible to remain in my home as I age? Do I feel safe in my home? How do I figure out how much support I will need when my health needs start to change? What if I decide to move into a community instead? Which community will meet my needs now and in the future? Who will play a role in helping me with decision making? Do you ask yourself these same questions? Aging in Place Strategies and Answers can help you gain practical knowledge that will help you create your own Aging in Place roadmap. If you are already a care partner, a power of attorney, or in crisis mode with your Aging in Place strategy, you will learn what you need to know that you don't know. For over 20 years, I have been marketing Aging in Place services to clients and educating families and healthcare professionals in how to put aging in place strategies into place. When you utilize aging in place, you are allowed to choose where you want to live and make those decisions so that you can retain your quality of life. Hello, friends, and welcome back to Aging in Place Strategies and Answers. And I'm so excited to be with you today because we're going to talk about a subject that most of us are going to have to deal with, either with loved ones that will need to approach minimizing or decluttering or letting go of some of their precious memories, items, and treasures. And you're going to be so excited to meet my guest today. So I'm going to introduce her in a minute, but I would love for you to check out my podcast this week because my friend Polly Lemire, who is a tiny habits coach, and her business is called thriveafter65.com. She and I have a YouTube channel called Seniors Can We Talk? And we just did a great YouTube, which I'm going to put on as a podcast so that you can take advantage of the lessons and the thinking and the talking that we did about this subject of decluttering. And you know what? She taught me a thing or two, but we had really a lot of fun approaching this topic that can feel negative at times from a positive spin. So that's one thing that I wanted you to be aware of. But my guest today, and the reason why I'm so excited is just to have Carrie Craven, and she owns a business called the Household Helpline, and she's located in St. Louis, Missouri. Now, Carrie is not new to this industry, nor is she new to decluttering, minimizing, and figuring out what to do with people's treasures, because she has family of her own that she helped. But she has 14 years of experience in packing and organizing. And in addition to that 14 years of organizing and packing, she has worked in the senior living industry. So she's seen people coming into new communities and transitioning with all their things, as well as now the other side of that picture, which is putting them in a box and making sure we have the right amount, not too many. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to walk around your new space, right? But she also has a unique combination of efficiency, care, and compassion to every client she works with and every move she does. And even though she specializes in senior relocations and downsizing, here is an important part of our conversation today. So if you just want to connect on one level with us, this is what I hope you hear, is that Carrie understands the emotional and logistical challenges that come with life transitions. And when you, as an adult child, or maybe as a spouse, or maybe as a well-meaning, well-intended friend or outsider, tell a senior to minimize, downsize, start paring down, get rid of your stuff. I'm here to tell you nobody wants it. There is a deep emotional commitment that can be attached to items. And we have to be aware of that. And Carrie is very sensitive to that. So I just want to mention that it is so important for Carrie when she's working with her clients, not only to make it a seamless experience, but also making sure that every detail is handled with professionalism as well as sensitivity to pick up on those unspoken cues that this is something that really matters or is meaningful, or I need to tread softly here as she's working with each client. Through Household Helpline, Carrie and her team have become known for their personalized, hands-on approach, and they really help the client as well as the family simplify the moving process. And the part I like is reducing stress and then to be able to settle comfortably into a new space. How exciting is that? And so please welcome my guest, Carrie. And remember, her company business is called Household Helpline. And I'll give you some more details about it later as we go through today. But Carrie, say hello to my listeners. And I'd love to hear one of your stories from the point of time where you're meeting with them up until the time you moved them and got them settled.
Okay. Well, hi. Thank you so much for having me today. And stories, every move is a story. And every client that I have served becomes like a parent, a grandparent, a friend. We truly take the stress out. We make it fun. That is, if I had to say, the 98% of my people I've moved say, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much. You made this so easy. You truly took the stress out." One of a favorite, more recent move that we did, we packed a couple who probably needed to move from their home years ago, at least 5 years ago, but it was overwhelming. They didn't know where to begin,
Exactly.
and then they needed to make repairs to the home. They had this beautiful porch out back, but it was on a second story and they couldn't go outside. There was no deck there anymore. They couldn't afford a lot of the repairs that were needing to be made. And they didn't have a lot of family in town. So finally, they made the decision to move. The real estate agent contacted me. I met with her. I answered a lot of her questions and took a lot of her concerns away. I worked probably for almost a month before we actually got to the actual pack up, assuring her that we weren't going to pack the things that they needed. We were packing her on a Friday and they were moving on a Monday, that we wouldn't pack the things they needed for that weekend. And, that we were going to make sure everything was done so that they could move in and know where everything was.
That's
So
important. That's important.
It's really important. It is very important, especially with seniors, because most seniors have a routine. And so moving totally messes up their routine and their familiarity with their home. So I'll get into it more with how we go about making that as easy as possible. But then we got them moved. They moved into their new place. We put everything away. We took the boxes and the paper away. And that evening, they couldn't believe it. And they were so happy. And then the thing they were saying to themselves were they were kicking themselves that they didn't do it earlier.
Sooner. Yes.
They were just so overwhelmed and didn't know where to begin with that process. So when they heard about me and they met me and I told them what I did and how I went about doing it, she opened her arms, let me come in, let me help her sort and downsize the things, make decisions of things. And I took things for her. I do this for my clients. We take things to Goodwill or a lot of the St. Vincent de Paul, Home Sweet Home. We have a lot of different places that we try to tell them, because the hard part is getting rid of their things, is finding new homes and new purposes that people will enjoy the things that they also enjoyed.
Yes.
So
And you
it always
said
feels good.
I'm so glad. And I know you have tons of stories. So thanks for just picking one, but I know we're going to hear more as we go along together. But that was what Polly and I were talking about is how do you begin? How do you get started, in a process where uh, in advance of us doing this today, I was sort of running through my mind, what if I had to move tomorrow? Where actually would I start with boxes? And when you're not a professional or you don't know the best practices, that can really um, waste a lot of time and energy. And
Yeah,
and like you said, anytime somebody moves, that is a life change, and it is not easy. I have never talked to anybody who said, "Oh, yes, that was a piece of cake."
right.
Moving is hard. Moving's a life change. There's a lot of decisions you have to make. And then where are you going? And that comes with a lot of emotions as well. So just because you're a senior doesn't mean that that goes away. Like you just mentioned, that amplifies it because you don't have the energy that you had when you were 20 or 30. The accumulation is greater
Right.
many, many
Penny.
times.
Yes.
And now you have years of memories. Oh, I got that when I went to Switzerland, or oh, the ballet that my mother and I went to was so meaningful. I just have to keep this bulletin, or the program that goes with it. So, and this is what we're working with when we start that process. And this is why I'm having Carrie on with us today, because she is a professional and there is nothing like a professional help. Now, a word from our sponsor.
Are you looking for resources on senior living? Check out guideforseniorliving.com for our free online senior resource guide to find senior housing, care, and community connections. Start searching now at guide number 4 seniorliving.com. That's guideforseniorliving.com to find the contact information for senior housing, care, and community connections.
Now, let's return to the podcast. So, Carrie, let's get us started. I thought that it might be helpful because I know you're not the only person doing this in the marketplace today. So, I would love for you to share with us a few questions that we should be aware of when we start that process of engaging someone like yourself that could help us get started. Even just the process of starting to declutter, not necessarily moving, but that whole thing, and then moving us along through the process. What are some things that we need to know as a consumer?
As a consumer, especially a consumer searching for packing and unpacking services
Yes.
for seniors, is the making sure that the company that you pick truly has experience working with seniors and that they understand the what's involved in that. Like a lot of times you were talking about getting rid of things. A lot of times it's holding hands, and I have to give people permission that it's okay to get rid of items that their kids made in preschool, and their kids are now 40 something years old with kids in school themselves, and they're still hanging on to the art projects, and they just need that permission that it's okay. If anything, I'll say take a picture of it. Let's make a book of all your favorite things that were in your house. Let's take
Yes.
pictures of things. So it's understanding, one, making sure that the company knows how to work with seniors, making
Okay.
sure that they have the compassion and empathy and can work, and that they're patient. You have to have so much patience because you can't rush people. Um, Also checking to see that they do what services they provide. With Household Helpline, we do help with the sorting. I take donations. I find if they need to sell things, I find the people that will sell their items. I just every step, I will arrange the mover. I will arrange a clean out service, but it's asking what exactly they do. A lot of companies will pack, but they don't unpack. Or if they unpack, some do what they call surface unpacking, meaning they unpack the boxes to your countertops and to the floors and your tables, but they don't put anything away. We put everything away. Uh, and we label every drawer. So if it's a nightstand, it's his and hers. We mark it his, drawer 1, drawer 2, drawer 3, and the items that were in it, we put it back in just the way it was, and sometimes even neater and cleaner. But we make sure to keep it, that we do those extra steps that a lot of other companies don't necessarily do. We also check to see if they provide the packing materials
All right.
for the job and if that's included in the cost of the pack and move or not. We do provide that, but it's not required if they want to provide their own boxes. There's benefits to us having 3 sizes of boxes because the movers love us because then they know how to load the truck really easy. Or when you
Aha.
go, people think they're being helpful by collecting Amazon boxes and grocery store banana boxes and apple carts. But what happens is when the movers go to stack it in the truck, nothing stacks well and it falls and things crush. And so we know that the boxes that we use are they're double thick and they don't crush and things like that. So check about the supplies.
That's
Um,
important.
it's very important. Also ask them about safety and accessibility, just their awareness. So when working with seniors, we always make sure when we pack boxes that we leave them out of the pathways of walking through. We make sure people have walkers that they can fit through and that they're still safe, that they have safe pathways to get to their bathroom and just everywhere. We try to keep all the boxes out of the way so that it makes it safe for them. We also talk about keeping their medications out and keeping what they need to. Some items need to be hand carried. We don't want them on the truck. So
Yes.
they have to tell them what they have to take with them the day of. I always am there on the day of to make sure I oversee the move. I do all the last minute bedding, the kitchen things and all that last minute. And also making sure that their car has the things in it that they have to take, helping them. And the movers a lot of times will load it in the car for them, but we don't want it to go on the truck, either because of heat or because just you can't lose it. It's important things that they need. And some of that is also in the packing process. They're not thinking clearly of what they need. So I remind them, you're going to need to leave X, Y, and Z out because you're going to need them during the day while your things are being unloaded. Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. So I do
Yes.
a lot of reminding them of what the process is going to be. Also, just the logistics and cost of it all, and finding that out somewhat ahead of time or having an idea how
Yes.
long it's going to take and what the rates are. And I will say they vary. So I would
Yes.
tell people to ask around for multiple companies.
Hmm.
And then the last is the coordination and communication. So I
Okay.
always coordinate with the movers, with the family, not just the people who I'm moving, but maybe their adult children. Their kids want to know what's going on. They need a timeline. Sometimes it's easier for if mom or dad are really stressed, take them out to lunch and then bring them back when we've got it all put away and ready to go. So it's that, and I communicate. I don't just talk to the couple that's moving. They have kids out of town, they may have kids in town, and it's just working with them so that everything goes smoothly.
And well, thank you. That's a really good list. I'm sure insurance is important too. Uh,
Yeah, oh, yes, get into that. And they have make sure that they have insurance. Sorry, that was on my list.
no, it's okay.
To make sure and that they're fully insured. The one thing that a lot of people, is that people talk about insurance and bonding. And if
Yes.
people are certain companies, if they're considered a 1099 position or they're not actual employees, you can't bond yourself. So that's not I don't want to say a fault of a company to like, I can't bond myself,
Yes, I
but
understand that.
yeah. So a lot of people don't. So they question, what do you mean you're not bonded? And I said, well, I can't be bonded. It's not possible for me to bond myself, but I am insured and
Yes.
make sure that your companies are all insured. Yes.
Yes, yes, those are very important items. Now, you worked at communities, at senior communities, and I just wanted to ask, I'm sure that you also coordinate with the community if they're moving into a community, make sure
Yeah.
that everything's set to go, or is that the family responsibility?
No, I'm familiar with several of the, communities we move people into, so we know the floor plans, which helps us in the packing process to be able to tell them what they can take and how things are going to fit. A lot of times the client will have a floor plan of where they're going, but
Okay.
sometimes, and we'll get into this, we start early. So the process might just be starting the process of going through their things and starting to downsize and donate or find new homes for their items, and they haven't even gotten around to where they're moving to, or
Okay.
even the thought of putting their house on the market. That might be farther down the road, but they're just getting the earlier, the better the start, that then you don't feel as pressured. So, it's taking that time that you don't have to feel rushed.
And I think that is something that I always advocate for, Carrie, is preparing. Not only physically preparing, and doing your diligence on finding a new place potentially, but also just preparing that that at some point you may have to pare down or get rid of some things. And so knowing that there's somebody who can give you a jump start and streamline the process for you is so helpful.
Right.
And so, like you said, preparation is king. And then knowing that there are professionals out there who really do have business models and insurance and the equipment and the coordination aspect is huge, because that just takes even more pressure off somebody who you don't even know. It's hard enough to figure out what to put in a box and what not to, but then all the other high level things, there are just so many layers to that.
Right. And I also really, when I talk to seniors who reached out to me ahead of the process, just asking me, they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know someone like you existed. How do I go about doing this? And I will say that they want to make the decisions when they get to make the decisions, and not when,
Yes.
unfortunately, there's a medical emergency or something, and then the decisions are made for them, that they get to say where they want to live, what they want to take with them, and all of those things, versus being told you're moving to this assisted living place or maybe a nursing home or whatever. We'll take care of getting your stuff done. And then they have a few things that they're able to take,
Yeah.
that their kids kept for them. So it's always better to be proactive, make it your decision when you can do it. And, and the other thing, having worked in these senior communities, the benefits of being around people. So many people that I moved to, one of the other issues that they have is that they're very isolated in their home.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so by moving into these communities, they've got people around to socialize with, staff around to help them, and they're not alone. So there's so many positives, and not having to cook every day. Like there's a lot of positives to it. And so many people think, oh, I don't want to move to a senior living community, but I don't know. I move people in all the time, and I think this is a pretty good deal.
It's a pretty good deal. Yeah. And I think that's the thing, is that my brain, so I'll just say that maybe you're like me, not maybe you, but other people listening are like me. Like, our brain normally goes to the negative. Oh my gosh, I have to do something, and it's not going to be a feel good. But if you listen to Polly and my YouTube on our channel, Seniors Can We Talk? There's a lot of positives from making changes, and there's a lot of energy and positivity and joy. And
Yeah.
it actually is, as like they say, to turn a phrase, we're going to turn over a new leaf. We're going to make a new start. And
Yeah.
yes, that new start is scary because we don't know what it's going to be like.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's exactly what we need to do. And what you just said is true, Carrie. A lady told me, she said, my kids want to come visit them, but I tell them I'm busy. Please don't come so often, because she lives in a community and she's met people and she's doing things. And if I were her kids, I'd be like, thank you so much. This is such a joy to know
Right.
that you are loving your new place and you're too busy. And I'll get
Exactly.
over the fact that you don't need me to be there as often. I can
Right.
handle that.
It frees up everybody. Then the kids aren't being called all the time to go do things. And there's just peace of mind for a lot many levels.
Yes. Well, that certainly got us started on our topic, but I know there's some big challenges what sometimes when seniors face when it comes to the moving, the unpacking, and the organizing. And I know that you really work hard to ease that transition. And well, friends, that's all for today, but there is more to this conversation. So please look for part 2 of my conversation with Carrie Craven from Household Helpline in St. Louis, Missouri, as we continue to talk about how to begin the process of interviewing and selecting a company to work with. Or if you just need organizing or packing up some things, then companies do that as well. But you need to know what you need to know. So listen again. Thank you for joining me today. Please remember that this podcast is intended as education and not advice. Don't forget to share this podcast with family, friends, or colleagues who want to learn how to age in place, but also share this with those who find themselves in crisis mode. Please go to my website, seniorsupportstrategies.com, for more information. When you subscribe to Aging in Place Strategies and Answers, you gain access to premium content and professional tips on creating your own aging in place roadmap. As always, I value the time you spend with me.